UN. These are development, peace and security is the second one, and the human rights are the third one. We all connected today because of you people together. I mean, most of us are from the SARC nation. We all are looking at the development as a chief and the major goal for our nation. And even we, the psychologists, start talking of the development, I want to draw the attention of the psychological contribution towards peace and security for bridging the nations within and amongst. See, we all have read the Maslow's theory of need hierarchy, and we know that unless my mind and body is in a good condition, I will not be able to produce efficiently. The development is going to depend upon what? The development is going to depend upon my efficiency, your efficiency, and the efficiency is definitely directly proportional to the sense of the emotional security. So it is your hunger, it is my hunger. Once I have achieved that, then it comes to my emotional security, my psychological security, and the safety need. Once I have achieved that, then only we are able to produce in the best and the efficient manner. If we have been deprived of our basic rights like hunger or the psychological rights of emotional and the other kind of the safety, security, etc., etc., nobody can ever come to the fullest of the potentialities. Neither can these be developed, nor can these be utilized. We will never work because we are intrinsically motivated. I am not saying it, it is already well proven by organizational psychology. Therefore, as I said that I will focus on the future recommendations for bridging these gaps, I give a very bold statement that UN has to unite together to start working on the positive parenting. I am making a very bold statement that if right today we start working on that, after 20 years, we will have a scenario in each nation of the mentally healthy adolescents. Because we are starting today, so we'll have adolescents and late adolescents who are going to be the youth of the nation, of each nation. I mean, this is how first we have to do the bridging within the nations by positive parenting. How do we do that? Many people argue with me that it is the politics which creates a lot of fuss and which is setting the bad examples. Yes, I don't deny that. Yes, I don't deny that we create negativity by modeling. The modeling by parenting, parents in the houses, by the teachers in the schools, by the peer groups in the society, and by the politicians in the socio-political scenario. But we are all the psychologists participating. My question is that when we start understanding the socio-political scenario, by that time we are independent enough to develop our own thinking process. But when did it develop? If we remember Piaget's theory, if we remember Kohlberg's theory, we were very young. It were the parents and the teachers who have contributed to our personality. That's why I say that it is the positive parenting. It is the positive parenting which is going to shun the development of suggestible people, the conforming people. If we are not suggestible, we are not conforming, then these bad examples are not going to have an impact upon us, and we will be the honest individuals who are self-sufficient. So it's true about the COVID-19. Had we been self-sufficient individuals, probably we would have not been facing so much of the anxiety. Many people have said, many people have reported, even psychologists are saying that domestic violence issues have increased during the lockdown. Dear friends, dear colleagues, dear seniors, and the budding psychologists, please try to think. Is it really the lockdown, or it was our initial maladjustment? Actually, we didn't learn the good ways to do the coping. Why? Because there is no positive parenting, because we are not inculcating the virtuous individuals. So this is the sole and the most important thing, to inculcate the virtuous individuals. Now I will try to relate it with the multilateralism. UN and many other At many other places, there is a statement that a stronger multilateral system is needed right now. It is a matter of urgency. And it has also been written by many people that, well, there was an issue with multilateralism even earlier, but now it is at the peak. And the reason which the people are mostly talking about is the fateful combination of becoming nationalists and populists in politics. Now, I would like to talk about that because we are talking about bridging the gaps. Is it really the nationalism? Let us think it this way. We are the psychologists. The layman may not be able to think, but we are the psychologists. We can think that what is nationalism? Nationalism is a simple and clear-cut reflection upon the love for the nation, upon the sincerity, upon the commitment. So it is the love, it is the concern, it is a trait. If any individual has this trait, then only he or she will be able to be concerned for the families, for the peer groups, for the cities, states, nations, and the world. So if we want to talk of the global peace, what we need to inculcate is the humanity that we are not taking care of. That's why I said that I'm making a bold statement that if we start developing the individuals who are virtuous, we are going to bridge the gaps within the nations as well as amongst the nations. So what is important for us is to understand that it is not the nationalism, but it is the enthusiastic rigidity and unbiased thought nahi. It is a biased thought towards the extremism, which is going to narrow down our focus and the thinking. It reduces our cognitive powers and we think in the fixated manners. That's what is the culprit and that is what the psychology has to contribute in dealing with. We, the members of the United Nations, need to get united together and develop the programs for dealing with such fixed and rigid kind of the thoughts. We have to shift the focus from the LOCs, materialism, is not the appeasing politics which is important. We have to create the individuals who have the love for universe. Universe means everything in the nature. It means either it is a living object or it is a non-living object. That's what we need to do. Where other places we can contribute. Let me talk of the goals. I will not talk of all the 17 goals. I will talk of hardly 1 or 2 goals only because the time doesn't allow. When we talk of the poverty, it requires distribution. Distributing your own funds, your own amenities to the other people. When will you do it? Only when you are virtuous. Only when you are empathetic. Only when you have a genuine regard for the people who are poor. Let me take another example. Health and well-being. Trust me, people do not even know the meaning of health. So we, the psychologists, have to promote it. People do not know that wealth is not the key of happiness. We have to promote it all. It is very important. Climate action. Who will make the programs? Why is it all becoming a failure? What is the method? What to be reinforced? There is a statement, let us start cooling. Do you have the patience and the perseverance for cooling? No. Who is going to inculcate? The psychologists will prepare the introduction modules so that everybody can grow like that. In the end, I want to raise the last point. What we should do. When it comes to bridging the nations, first thing is that we have to bridge the nations with it. For that, yes, the political scenario is to be corrected to an extent. Well, one way is to start raising the virtuous children. What else we can do? I like to make a mention of an Indian philosophy which is called as integral humanism. It was given for the political purposes by a particular political party, but that's not a concern. The concern is that this is a philosophy which is purely psychological in its nature. It talks of the Gandhian principles of non-violence. It talks of Sarvodaya. That means the progress to all. There is a word, Antyodaya. Antyodaya doesn't have any English translation, so I can't give you the word for that. But Antyodaya means that the person who is standing in the end, just in the end, last line in the last person, from where the progress begins. So that means we have to reach the unreached. This is what is said in this philosophy. As per this philosophy, all the principles which have been incorporated in this are appropriated very selectively to give more importance to the cultural national values. Even for parenting, we have to do that. A standard module, then the psychologists of each nation have to fit in that positive parenting module as per their own culture. And then it is to be implemented. So it's to be done in the politics, and that's how we'll be able to bridge the nation within. That means the human being is at its center. When the human beings are at its center, then we will be able to develop the individuals who are going to be self-sufficient. When they are self-sufficient, they will look within themselves. They are not going to look outside. I would like to read 2 or 3 lines for that. According to this philosophy, the primary concern should be to develop an indigenous development model that human beings have the human beings as its core focus. It seeks a middle ground between capitalism and socialism, evaluating both systems on their respective merits and blending both the East and the West together. So that's how we'll be able to bridge the gaps. The most interesting thing here is that in this theory, there are 4 concepts. These 4 concepts are body, mind, intellect, and the soul. These correspond to the moral or the virtuous development. After that, the management and earning of the well-being, then the well-being, and the last is the liberation or the transcendence we call about in the positive psychology. So you see how purely psychological this philosophy is. If we take such kind of things into the consideration, we can change the psyche of the nation. See, the individuals are the basic unit. So once if we are able to change the individuals, we change the psyche of the nation. When the psyche of the nation is changed and developed into a noble soul, I mean, can you imagine the nation having the noble soul? Then only we'll be able to bring the multilateralism. So I want to conclude just by saying this, that as Upadhyay had also said, that we don't need to reward people, I mean to appease people, but we don't even need to shun the people. We just need to produce the pure souls in every nature. So this is the psycho-socio-political scenario in which we can help the whole world, creating the individuals who are highly virtuous. Like in parenting, we say neither be very permissive nor be just too strict parents. So we need to develop the authoritarian leaders, authoritative leaders, not the authoritarian ones. Then only we will be able to grow the noble souls, and then only we will be able to all come close together as a one soul, noble soul, uniting with noble soul is the best way to gain unity. Once again, I thank you. I thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your sparking all-round information regarding the socialism and the capitalism societies, and you are highlighting the issues and things. Now, I would like to invite our next speaker, Professor Dr. Pianjali D. Joisa from Sri Lanka. She is the clinical psychology at the faculty of the Medicine University of Colombo. She is a clinical psychologist by profession with a bachelor honor degree in psychology, master degree in applied clinical psychology, and a PhD. Her PhD was on child-directed violences. She co-founded an MPhil in clinical psychology degree at the University of Colombo, which is the first training program in the professional clinical psychology in the country. She was the founder president of Sri Lanka Psychological Association She has held several key positions in national level organizations, including the National Child Protection Authority, National Steering Committee on Child Rights, and the National Mental Health Advisory Council. Her research interests include humanism, culturally appropriate psychological intervention, child malnutrition, and violence. I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Payansi D. Joisa from Sri Lanka. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you. Are you hearing me? Is it all okay?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Narendra, for your invitation. I'm very pleased to be a part of this webinar. So as was suggested by Dr. Narendran, I like to talk a little bit about how the pandemic has affected the Sri Lankan population. And the second way is what I would like to talk about is psychological services that we provide Sri Lankans with overall as well as during the pandemic. Those are the two topics I'd like to talk to you about. So now, because Sri Lanka, as far as I know, have no quantitative data on the impact of the pandemic. There's a lot of large-scale research studies going on right now in the biological fields and the psychological fields and the sociological fields, but we still don't have data out. So it's very difficult for us to say what the mental health impact, if any, is on our population. So the information that I'm sharing with you is based on discussions I've had with my colleagues since I spoke to Dr. Narendra yesterday, and today I was talking to people who are clinically active to get to know what has been happening in our country. So what my colleagues say and what I personally have seen is that we don't see many persons coming forward with a huge impact of the pandemic. And that's a positive thing. That's what we have observed. What we have observed, however, are people who had a mental illness, particularly anxiety disorders or impulse control disorders, who had been diagnosed with a mental illness, who may have recovered from it, or who was undergoing treatment. A surfacing of their symptoms had occurred during this time. So obviously the stressor of the pandemic may have re-triggered or triggered their symptoms. That's number two. So basically we don't see a huge number of callers to our hotlines, a huge number of persons coming on to private practice online consultations with new illnesses or new symptoms. Now, however, a particular category of mental conditions, that is violence-related incidents, however, is different. There is seen to be an increase in that, in different modalities of violence. Now, for example, suicide and deliberate self-harm. One of my medical colleagues in the largest national hospital in Sri Lanka, who works in the emergency services, he was saying that they have seen an increase in individuals admitted for attempted suicide and deliberate self-harm. But of course, the numbers we don't know, and we don't know whether this is statistically significant numbers, but what the doctors are saying is there's a higher number of such admissions. That's one area of violence. Then we also have seen, as reported again in hospitals, a higher number of women coming experiencing violence at the hands of their spouses. These kind of trends or characteristics is prevalent in other parts of the world also. So the same dynamics we are seeing. Now, so therefore, what we did, the third point is therefore violence-related mental health issues seems to be on the rise. The fourth and the final point that I have to talk to you about on mental health impact is that many people seems to be stressed, but not at the mental illness level. And this seems to be associated with the financial impact, particularly in those in the lower socioeconomic stratas. Financial impact itself had become a stressor, so they have some kind of anxieties, but not at a very significant level. And very interestingly, many of the people that I have spoken to, whom I associate with, actually have told me that they have actually benefited from the 2 months of the lockdown we've had. They have said that it has given them opportunity to be with their families, spend time with their children, talk more to their elderly parents whom they have been living with but didn't have time to talk to. They have been having more time to pray, to meditate, to contemplate, enjoy solitude, start a home garden, do some. So they had actually found it as a boost of their mental health. So these are the kinds of observations that we see from Sri Lanka. Now, coming to the second and the final thrust of my talk, which is about psychological services. So I won't be really talking about the entire gamut of mental health services in the country because of the time limitations. I won't be talking about psychiatry services or clinical social work services. Instead, I will be talking about psychological services in our country, particularly in relation to the pandemic. So Sri Lanka hadn't had a training program in clinical or counseling psychology, two main mental health service provisions, for a long time. The first one was started in 2008. It was a postgraduate professional clinical psychology program. We still have that only now. We don't have any others, only this particular. We don't have a counseling psychology training program either. And we don't have any other varieties of professional psychology training programs. So it's only the clinical one. So therefore, the number of psychologists of various specialties is limited in our country. Fortunately, for the clinical psychology masters that we have been running for 12 years now, we have about 45 clinical psychologists with a population of 22 million people. And most of these clinical psychologists are working in the capital city of Colombo and very few, if at all, maybe 4, 5, 6 people outside. So therefore, the services of clinical psychologists are not offered, or there's no possibility to offer to a large array of people. Other than clinical psychologists, we have about 2 or 3 counseling psychologists trained at the master's level. We have 2 or 3 organizational psychologists trained at the master's and PhD level. We have a few, 2 or 3 social psychologists like that. We don't have forensic psychologists, for instance. Now, in that bunch of professional psychologists, none of them work in the government sector. Now, that's a big backlog, that's a big issue. For example, I'm actually working in the government sector, but I'm in the academic field. So I'm employed by the Ministry of Education. But the Ministry of Health has still not completed their cadre positions. There are cadres of psychologists, but they have not been filled. So because of this, all the psychologists who are providing services on a daily basis, that happens in the private sector. And we do know that Sri Lanka is a middle-income country. Many people may not be able to offer to support or get private practice services. So the lack of the state sector having positions for clinical psychologists or counseling psychologists is a big backlog or a big issue we have in the country. So in the context of the current pandemic, how did psychologists then step forward to provide services? So as I told you, state services don't have psychologists. So what most psychologists did was, in their private practices, they started offering free online sessions. So I know a group of psychologists known to me professionally. They started a Facebook page offering free counseling sessions. So anybody from the public or anybody who is in the mainstream healthcare can come and get an appointment through the Facebook page, and a psychologist will contact them for therapy. That's one of the things. A second endeavor which psychologists did to provide services to the public free was that many psychologists joined the government hotline 1390, which was a COVID-related hotline that was established by the Ministry of Health. It's 1390 hotline is a opportunity for the public to get any information on the COVID, whether it's physical stuff or about how to get their finances, how to buy their groceries. They answer anything you want. So this 1390 hotline, what it did was, later on, they also had a psychosocial service profession opportunity there. So if a person in the village or in the city calls this 1390 hotline, the person who answers the telephone puts them on to a psychologist if the issue is psychology related. So therefore, second thing is the government hotlines. thing what psychologists did was, and I think this is really, really important, is to actually create flyers, posts, small audiovisual clips, or even conduct webinars where the public can log in or get information on how to maintain their psychological health. So these are the three ways in which psychologists have actually reached out to the services to provide services in the event that we are not employed by the state. So all free services. Other than that, we also have counselors. Psychologists are not employed by the state sector, but there are counselors maybe trained at the undergraduate degree level of psychology. They have been absorbed into the government, and these counselors have been providing basic counseling services to the people of the country. So that's an overview of how we have managed the pandemic situation in Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Professor Dr. Priyanjali Dijosa, for your timely, wonderful presentation. We learn more information about the Sri Lanka and your work over there. Now, I would like to call Professor Dr. Pradeep Khatri from India. He is retired professor and head of Department of Psychology, National PG College, Lucknow, director of Sambal Drug De-Addiction and Psychiatric Hospital, Lucknow, and practicing clinical psychologist and a counselor. Professor Dr. Pradeep Khatri, sir, I welcome you and give the floor for the 10 to 12 minutes as previous service.
Thanks a lot. So, I'm audible to you all? Hello. Okay. Professor Aradhana Shukla ji, Shri Padmaraj Joshi ji, and Organizing Secretary Narendra ji. Fellow speakers from Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and India. It's a privilege for me to be the part of this international webinar on the occasion of the 13th UN Psychology Day and the 4th Psychology Day in Nepal. As you know, the topic is psychological contribution to building bridges among and within the nations. Friends, psychology is such a discipline which is being used by each and every individual within and among the societies, states, nations. It's not necessary that one should not be the student of psychology or one should have studied the psychology. It's the individual's experience, strength, knowledge, and wisdom through which he can learn and give the certain tips to the person. Friends, here I'll just explain the things on the basis of the strength. As I told, that three things, that is the knowledge, strength, and wisdom. So I'll just put it here, my views about the strength, that in this pandemic situation, how this wisdom can be or the strength can be the helpful for the person. Here, little bit I will go back that what was the professional health workers were doing, and for this I will just take you the Karl Menninger's work, who developed world-renowned Menninger Clinic. He attempted to change the way that healthcare professionals viewed the diagnosis, prevention, and treatment of the mental illness. As a part of his mission, he encouraged clinicians and the researchers to dispense with old confusing labels of sickness. Then he called for the development of a simple diagnostic system that described the life process rather than states or conditions. He reminded us of the life instinct, especially hope, faith, and love. From here, the strength starts. How we can measure the human strength? Strength is nothing but it is a feeling, thinking, and behaving. And this strength can be, as I know, Maslow has given the need hierarchy theory, and the third level need is, that is the belongingness, love, and affection. It starts from there, that behaving, how we are behaving with the person. It is more important, and that gives the most of the strength to the person to face the toughness within the society or the toughness within the individual. So this is the reason that we have better understanding than we do of strength. Further, strength is extension of the talent. The strength construct combines talent with associated knowledge and skills and is defined as the ability to provide, construct near perfect performance in a specific task. So this is the strength. Here I will just give you the example of two important words. One is achiever or the achievement, and the second is responsibility. We use these two words in a very simple and common way, but how the strength finders explain these two words. For the achiever, it is being explained by the strength finders that people strong in the achiever theme have great deal of stamina and work hard. They take great satisfaction from being busy and productive. Here, the word busy is very important. The busy means not the busy like type A personality person, busy without business. We most of the time, we all, you see, we are very busy. We don't have the time to just die even. Sometimes people used to say this. So busy, everyone is busy, but what is our busyness is producing what? In what way we are just producing the things? In what way we are just giving the thing to the society? This is the achiever. And the second word which I used, that was the responsibility. What does it mean, responsibility? We all say that we are the responsible citizen. But do we know what the exact meaning of the responsibility? According to just strength finder, they explain that people strong in the responsibility theme take psychological ownership of what they say they will do. They are committed to stable values such as honesty and loyalty. It is very important, that loyalty and that honesty. Honesty, when we will be honest with our own self, only then we can be honest for the others also. So these are the two words. There are so many other words also that use in this way. But I just chosen these two words in the reference of the strength, that how does this strength can make the change in the meaning of these two words. So now, after this strength, I will just come to how this wisdom and knowledge is associated with this strength. And only this strength will be able to just make the nation within the and among the nation to be stronger tie between them. When we don't have the strength, it will not be possible to accept the challenge or to do the good for the society. The thing is here that it is not necessary that sometimes strength may be taken as related to wisdom and knowledge. That is, people may use strength as a wisdom, it may be, but how to use your wisdom or knowledge as a strength in a very delicate and sensitive matter. How you can strengthen your strength as a wisdom, because wisdom refers to a general intellectual strength involving the development and use of knowledge. Wisdom doesn't necessarily follow from the formal education or the high IQ scores. It is not the wisdom. Wisdom refers to more practical intelligence and good judgment on learning life's lessons, perhaps through hardships. This is the wisdom. And I will quote the example that it is the reason that though so many people, whether he is our Honorable Prime Minister, whether he is Ambani, Dhirubhai Ambani or so, they started their life with the hardship and then the wisdom with the strength, just it helped them to reach at this position in the present scenario. In psychological contribution maybe in this way to just join the nation, among the nation and within the nation. That is the wisdom of the individual, wisdom with strength. A wise person puts the thing in a proper perspective and avoids the pitfalls of narrowly focused and self-interested understanding. So, in what way? It is being explained that now the wisdom means being able to offer good counsel to others about how to live and how to understand, deal life challenges. And in the present scenario, it is the strength and the wisdom to accept the challenges. Because we don't have the other options except to accept the life challenges. Now, I'll just explain. This are taught with the reference of this pandemic. In the reference of this pandemic, we can give the chronology of this pandemic when certain important dates are there announced by the Prime Minister of the India. It was the 22nd March. What happened on 22nd March? You can recall. Then 25th March. What happened the 25th March? You can recall. It was the first lockdown. And when this was announced, everyone was shattered. Everyone was in panic situation. Anxiety increases, tension increases, stress was on the top level. Because it was not, we are not able to accept the challenges. Strength was there, but the strength was not up to that optimum that we can accept such type of the announcements. Then 14th April. 14th April was the second lockdown. After that, what happened? A major change within the individuals. And that change was what? That change was that after that, everyone was settled down that now I am ready to face these challenges because we got the strength. And after that, they all decided it that the whole May will have to be, we have to spend in the lockdown situation. So this is the strength, and this is the psychological contribution that we learn it from within the society, within the state, and among and within the nation also. And between these chronology, two incidents, two events very important happened. One was one day when we rang the bell, etc. And the second incident was lighting a lamp. What the Prime Minister announced, that you switch off your all the lights and just you lit a light. Even you can light your mobile's flashlight. So in this way, the strength came all together, and we were just able to fight this pandemic totally in the good strength. Now, everyone was thinking, we are not alone. We have the support. And thus, after that, one major thing was also there, that is the strength, and as well as it was the wisdom that G18 meet was convened by the Honorable Prime Minister. So, I am just narrating all these incidents.
Please, Ragini Mishra ma'am, can you stop your sharing?
Just I am sharing these things just to show that what the psychological contribution is there within and among the nations. All the time when other countries just demanded the HCPQ tablets, it was given by the India. So all these things are the psychological contributions. It is the health, it is the strength, it is the wisdom, and it is the knowledge. So with this reference, I would like to say here that it is the psychological aspect which can strengthen the person by heart, by work, by mind. So I believe all these are the psychological contributions to building bridges among the and within the nation. One thing more I would like to explain here, that it is the wisdom, it is the strength that recently
Thank you so much, Professor. We are in a time. Okay.
He was just being taken as the director of the WHO. So with all these things, I just stop my presentation here. And once again, I'm thankful for all the organizers giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Pradeep Khatri. Sir, you are wonderful sharing and all the information about the India. Now we have another guest of speaker from India, Assistant Professor Dr. Meenakshi Bajpayee. She is an assistant professor at the Department of Psychology, Arya Mahila PG College, admitted the privilege of Banaras BHU. We know the BHU, and she had lots of the experiences over there. She is a life member of various journals, including National Academy of Psychology, Indian Academy of Health Psychology. Her research interested including positive psychology, health psychology, and even in the cross-cultural psychology. So, ma'am, Dr. Meenakshi Bajpayee, so it's a time for you. Are you hearing me? And please go proceed. Your time is similar, 10 to 12 minutes. We are in a round.
Okay. Thank you, Padmanabh sir. I would really like to appreciate all the speakers who spoke before me, and good evening to all of you, all my seniors, my colleagues, and few students are also there. I am able to see. I would like to welcome you all on the auspicious occasion of 13th UN Psychology Day and 4th Psychological Day in Nepal. today's topic of international webinar that all the organizers have made, that is psychological contributions to building bridges among and within nations. As far as I'm being concerned, as I'm working on positive psychology and cross-cultural psychology, I thought of this topic to be connected with connectedness and correlation. Again, I will wanted to share. Ragini Mishra, please you stop sharing your screen so that I can share. I wanted to share my PPT. This is the, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Ragini ji. Thank you once again. I have made few PPT, few presentations for this particular thing. Yeah, one. I've started screen. Yeah. I have, this is the presentation. I wanted, yes, the topic what I wanted to discuss with you all was sharing to fruitful collaboration, as all the SAARC countries are all is there, and I wanted something to be given to the society on a positive note and make it connectedness, make a positive connection between all of us. I wanted to focus on this particular concept. For connectedness, it is a feeling of belonging to or having affinity with a particular person or group, which we people, all of us are lacking in between, I think so, and we are opposing onto that. That's why we are making such type of virtual organizations, virtual communications and all. So the features which are highlighting onto this are interacting upon one another. We all should interact with each other, enabling people to carry on their life activities. This is very important. If we enable other people to carry our life, to share whatever we wanted to have, that most importantly, connectedness. Yeah, we feel connected with each other, helping each person to fulfill his wish. This is also a very important positive note, positive thing. If we can do anything, a little bit of thing to increase anyone's happiness, to increase anyone to that, so that I can fulfill anyone's need, that will be, and again, a connected issue, a connected thought. Accomplish interest in association. If we wanted to do anything, we have to associate with each other. Today we are, I think, more than 4 country people are there. We are here, so we are associating with each other. We are sharing our views. This is connectedness. This is positivity. We all are at the same platform here right now. The social connection improves physical and mental health and emotional well-being. I suppose we all are happy, physically and mentally healthy, and well-being is very important. That we all are here for, as we all are having a positive mental health. Importance of connectedness. This is improving. First point is improve quality of life. Quality of life is, when we are talking about quality of life, it's not about imparting only positive. It's about positive and negative aspect, both the aspects. So we have to improve. What is the basic relationship here? What is the importance of connectedness? If we are connecting with each other, we'll improve quality of life, then boost our mental health. Mental health, if we are all focusing on to it, then help live longer. It will again increase your lifespan. It will increase your longevity to life. Decrease risk of suicide. As ma'am from Sri Lanka said, that there are many people who are not having a positive mental health. They are having lots of problems. So depression, anxiety, suicide, there are lots of negative impacts are always seen. They are there. And suicide is one of the basic reasons behind, after all these type of situations. Then connectedness will increase, strengthen immune system. It will increase immunity, as Modi ji and everybody is working on to it. Arogya Setu is there. We all are working to improve our immunity. So if you are connected with each other, if we are connected, if feeling a connection, it will increase our immunity. That's all. fast recovery from diseases. We all are saying that all the previous speakers are also focused onto it, that whatever the disease we are facing, either it is physically or mentally, recovery is always faster, on the faster pace if we are connected, if we feel happiness. Then higher self-esteem. If you feel connected, you will increase your self-esteem, increased level of empathy, and reduced level of stress. As we all know, all the major features, all the major problems are there because of increasing level of stress we are all having. Like that. Lack of connectedness may cause. Right now, this is the situation that in the lower figure also you people can see everybody is having, everybody is busy with his life, with his mobile, with his particular personal life. So the major problems, major concerns are to, it is actually narrowing everything. The first thing is loneliness or isolation. We are feeling isolated. We want anyone, we want in a single person to sit with next to us, to that person should, any person should be there, so that I can share my things, I can share my emotions, I can share my depression, I can share my all the features, whatever. Physical and mental health issues. Percentage of mental and physical health issues will increase if there is no relationship between two people, two groups, two persons, anything. Then lack of help. If you don't feel connected, won't find any type of help next to you. You are not be able to express your problems in the society. Lower life expectancy. This is very important. If you are not positive, if you are not healthy, if you don't feel any type of relation near to you, this will decrease your life expectancy. Hallucinations. Major, all the psychological people or all the people who are here, if a person used to stay a longer time in their isolation ward, in their loneliness, that person usually feels hallucination. Lack of social skills. If you are connected, Abhi, right now we all are here, and I think this is the best example that we all are doing webinar, we all are sitting onto our ends, and we all are more or less connected to each other. So that if connection is there, then we'll able to increase our social skills. Narrow-mindedness, minded thinking. If you're not connected, then again my thing is this, you will be only in your particular personal aura. You are not going to explain yourself in front of everyone. You are not able to share your emotions. Then you will narrow your level of thinking. You are not able to concentrate on to, you are not able to flourish actually. High risk of unemployment. For employment, we all know we need to express few gratitude, few features, like either if you have any authoritarian type of leader with you, so you have to share anything, you have to speak in front of that person, and if you are not able to do that, then again it is a risk for unemployment. Sleep problems. We are all are focusing this type of things as everybody is locked into their houses. We are not able to go outside. We are not in our daily routines. So many a times, sleeping problems, sleeping disorders are seen in everyone. Self-harm. This is the second part of suicide or self-harm, I should say. If people are not harming others, basically if you feel isolated, you feel exhausted, you don't have anything to do, you will self-harm, you'll harm yourself. And next thing is substance abuse. Many a times, abhi India mein lockdown is there, and as soon as Modi ji and the government have decided, to open that alcohol shops and everything, we are able to see that substance, because of this particular substance abuse, one type was there, the percentage of that increased a lot more people, number of people for going outside to buy medicine and vegetables were less as compared to person who wanted to go to have something else, some of the substance abuse. I'm not going to take anything's name, but it is like that. If we are not feeling connectedness, if we are not connected to anyone, and that can be a person, an individual, or group, or anything, All these type of problems are basically occurred by that person or the situation. Next thing I wanted to explain with you, yeah, or discuss with you all is developing positive relationship. This is need of the hour, why we should have positive relationships between us. First thing, what it help, what it affect is accept and celebrate differences. We all have to accept it and celebrate differences, that yes, we two people, if we are not altogether safe, how can we expect everyone? In news channels also, we have seen lot of people are there, they argue, they have, everyone is having their pace of information, everyone is having their source of information, they are saying, yeah, this is right, this is wrong. It's like that. We have to accept it all. We don't have to argue with that many people are there, but it doesn't look, it decrease your positivity, it will decrease, it will increase your aggression, it will increase lot of negative things, negativity into you. Then listen effectively. Whenever a person is speaking anything, sharing anything, please listen effectively. Give time to others also. Don't think I'm the only person. There are many people. If you call, if you ask them, they'll start explaining their topics, their problems, they don't want to listen. So this is the time. Yeah, if we want to be connected with others, anyone, we have to give some time to others so that we can focus on to it, and other person will also get happiness. Next, develop communication skills. If you want to have a good relationship between two, relationship always occurs between two people. So if you have good communication skill, you will allow other person also to explain himself, and you will be also be able to explain yourself. Language, I think.
Doctor, you have 1 more minute left.
Okay, I'm going to. So manage mobile technology, learn to give and take feedbacks, learn to trust more, develop empathy, mediate, be thankful. I'm concluding like right now. Positive relationship with others we will be happier and more fulfilled and feel more supported and connected. Next thing, I wanted to bust a little bit of thing. Perma model is there. Martin Seligman has given this model. This is need of the hour, I think so. We all have to focus on positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and achievement. Now, this is, it's not what you know, it's who you know and who they know. This is, today we are here only for this particular statement of Rob Gibson, I think so. The importance of new relationships, if we are having, it will increase many new practices, it will increase your physical and mental health, it will increase for new referrals also, and after all, mouth publicity will be there. So I'll wind up my talk, that spend time with people who bring out the best in you, not the stress in you. With these things, I would like to end up my talk. Thank you. Thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vajpayee. Your wonderful presentation over there. Now I'll call the Professor Dr. Shah Alam from India. He is a professor in psychology in AMU, Aligarh, and he has completed his MPhil, PhD from AMU and PhD in guidance and counseling, NSERT, and a program coordinator of PhD in guidance and counseling in CDMU from 2006 to 2012. He is a mentor, tutor of international PhD in guidance and counseling in NSERT, and I will give this microphone to him, Professor Dr. Shah Alam. As your turn, and the time is 10 to 12 minutes. In 10 minutes, I will just raise my hand, and in the 12 minutes, you will be finished. Professor Dr. Shah Alam, please proceed your presentation. Dr. Narendra, he is over there.
Hello.
Yeah.
Am
okay.
I audible?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good evening to everybody. respected Anuradha Madam, our today's chief guest, my friend Professor Shamim, Khatri Sahib, my senior, Tushar, and other. Uh, Basically, the topic chosen for today's discussion is very much relevant in the present day world. And I was planning to speak on promoting mental health so that we can build peace among and within nation. Dear friends, here I am going to uh, emphasize on the role of psychologists who can be helpful in building the breeze among and within nation. We know that nowadays the people are recognizing the importance, the values and significance of psychology from all over the world. And no doubt, from birth to death, we use psychology. Even a child in the womb of the mother, he can be trained by giving positive training to the mother. Then they use psychology from primary to secondary, senior secondary, and to the higher education. Also, uh, we use psychology in business, hospitals, military services, and everywhere. And my contention is that we, the psychologists, uh, uh, if we are able to, uh, promote mental health among the people of the our vicinity or society or country, we can be able to contribute the filling the gap. Everybody knows that almost 37% psychologists, they are working in the university, colleges, and schools. So at this level, if we can be able to achieve our target by giving proper uh, training for the application of psychology in all the fields. And then 28% people are working in the hospital, 6% in business, 8% in military and other services, 6% in the schools. So if we can train our students at all the levels, then we can able to make them a good citizen and they can be helpful in developing the country. So how the psychologists can be helpful to the nation? I'm just putting my points very briefly on 5 and 6. Number one, making relationship. Uh, Before me, that madam was speaking about the relevance of making relationship, but I can remind here everybody that a longitudinal study is being conducted in Harvard University, and they produced lakhs of students, and they asked what is the secret of their happiness and satisfaction. So they gave one parameter, that is the making relationship. So whether we are in our family or in the society or in the other places, if you make a good relationship, then we can build up our mental health. Then another point is that the support the children. Here it means that why don't we develop some life skills among the students. Pramada Batra madam was talking about the parenting. I think it is very relevant point that we should start, developing life skills within our children, like empathy, relationship, communication, and other things. Then psychological empowerment of women. Almost around 49% women are of our population, and if they are be given uh, education and economic independence, and if you can able to make psychological empower to our women, we can be able to make can be helpful in making our nation or building the breeze among and within the nation, because it is the mother who can most of the time spend time with the children. They can uh, make their behavior in positive direction. Then another is social support for elderly people. We are experiencing nowadays that the elderly people are being kicked out from the house and they are sent to the old orphanage home, home, and we cannot taking their experiences regarding many of the things. Then psychological support to the vulnerable group. Here, my focus towards the minorities, migrants, and people are in distress. You can have experienced that crowds of migrants, people, laborers, they are moving from one place to another place. But how many psychologists they come forward for their help? So we should think of that. Then one thing is we are experiencing all over the world that violence among the young people. Many a times I can say that few of them are very, they are very in hostile condition. So we can think of that. Now come to the COVID, something about the COVID. We know that the coronavirus started in China, Wuhan, and it is a new pandemic. Our civilization has been witnessing one or two pandemic in each century, but how it is different from that. The earlier pandemic, I think it was limited to the some state and country and continent, but this pandemic has, spread, I think, more than 190 countries. This data has been given by UNESCO. So this is something, unique one. Khatir Sahab was talking about the lockdown of India and he talked about the panic, but he missed the real thing. Really, our Prime Minister spread a panic. I can remember the time when he announced the lockdown, the people came on the road, they purchased the edible things, they tried to store all these things. So what happens when such type of things, panic arises, then we feel the stress, worry, anxiety, strain, phobia, and fear. And we know the negative aspect of all these things. When anybody is in fear, what happens? Our mind is blocked. We are unable to think not logically. So there are two situations arises here. Number one, either you fight or you flight. So when the people choose to fight with this pandemic or the situation, they can find the ways and techniques. But those who choose to flight, then basically they lost their hope, and it impacts on their immune system, means their physical body as well as mental level. So we can repair the physical, any loss, but it is very difficult to repair the mental loss. And that is why, WHO 2005 gave a very good slogan, there is no health without mental health. So at this point, we have to take care of mental health of the people. And basically, there are two big impact of COVID on psychology. One is social restriction through social distancing, rather we should say the physical distancing. And the second is reduce of social contact, that is face to face. And another point, naturally financial and loss of job. Somebody, he talked about the loss of job. But when we are unable to see one another, so we cannot able to read the feelings, real feeling of the others. So it has put a great impact on the psychology of the people, whether the students, whether the elderly people, the women, or the teachers, or anybody. It affects the behavioral aspect, emotional aspects, thought aspects, and physical aspects. Somebody talked about the loneliness, anxiety, irritability, sadness. So how we psychologists are planning to enhance the mental health of our young children. And in one line, I will say that if our children are not mentally healthy, how can expect that they are going to contribute for the society and for the community and the nation? So during the COVID, we have to focus on two things to maintain our mental health. And WHO has also pointed out that we have to accept the fact that corona may become an endemic and never go away. So really our Prime Minister Narendra Modi said we have to live with this corona, we have to learn this. So very briefly, I will tell that regarding keeping physically fit as recommended by many people, and it is my own experience that regular exercise for 30 minutes is necessary, and I do this. Then Madam was talking about the sleep, at least 6 to 8 hours sleep is necessary for everybody. I'm not going to teach a whole world, but I can teach my children. So in the Pramila Batra Madam, she was talking about parenting. It is responsibility for every parent to see their children. And if every parent of the society and country will look after their children, I think half of the problem will be able to solve. Then during these lockdown, and we have to take healthy food and plenty of waters, and we should abstain from the alcohol. The madam was telling, we had experienced that crowds of people came on the road for the alcohol and for using the alcohols. So this is on the physical parts. And now mental parts, I will tell few things. Number one, that
Sir, within
engage,
2 minutes now.
okay. Uh, uh, we should engage ourselves in meaningful work, and we should see this COVID-19 as very positive, that we are living with our family, spending time, helping our wife, playing with the kids. And also, if you read many reports, then you will find that our environment has been clean, Ganga has been clean. So we should develop the positive thinking regarding that. Then, like today's webinar, intellectual discussion must go on, and we have enough time for meditation, for puja and namaz and other things. We have enough time to read the good books and do some online courses. But I will tell one thing. At the end, we should think what is the purpose of life and what is meaning of life. If we are able to understand the purpose and meaning of life, then we can be able to contribute to our society and our country. And this will, individual effort with good parenting and good socialization, can build bridge among and within the nation. Thank you very much for giving me time to speak before you and participate in this year. I think I have completed within time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Salam, your wonderful presentation and wonderful sharing over there. Now I will call to Dr. Tushar Singh from BSU. You know that the young emerging psychologist nominated by the Cape Town conferences 2012. And Dr. Tushar Singh, it's your time, and within 10 to 12 minutes you share your experiences over there regarding the UN Psychology Day and multilateralism. Okay. Dr. Tushar Singh. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Narenji, and the team for organizing this wonderful program. Many thanks to my earlier speakers, Meenakshi ji, Shah Alam sir, Pradeep Khatri sir, Pianjali, for bringing in psychological aspects very well, and this had made my task even easier. Today I will be not taking much time to talk about what is already said about the pandemic and psychological aspects. Rather, I will bring your attention to an aspect which is relatively neglected and which might also be related with the focal theme of today's program, as well as it is related to the focal theme of today's UN Psychology Day, which is bridging the gaps. So I'll be mainly talking about the gaps which have come up due to this pandemic situation, and a few things in the later section of my talk about how we can help bridging these gaps. However, majority of these things are already spoken by my fellow colleagues in a different context. So we all are facing a global havoc today due to novel COVID-19. We all are in a shock of what is happening with us. And we are also shocked and disturbed to see what is happening with others. So our shock is resulting from both, from our own situations, personal situations, as well as the global situation we are witnessing in. However, during these 2 and more than 2 months, and if you talk about global situation, it's more than 5 months, we have seen some very disastrous things also, which is more negative than the impacts on our personal well-being, is negative interpersonal dynamics. And when I'm saying interpersonal, it is not only between two persons, also it is between intergroup as well as international dynamics. So yes, you are rightly perceiving it. I'm going to talk about the divide this pandemic situation have created between humans, between groups, and between nations. It's a tendency, human tendency, to protect our well-being in a situation of chaos. And in this chaos situation, when we try to protect our well-being, we try to differentiate ourselves from all those which may be a possible threat to our well-being. And this is a basic cause for the divide, basic root for the divide. So due to this pandemic, since we all are facing crisis and we have tried to protect our well-being, slowly, unknowingly, unconsciously, we have started creating the boundaries also. And these boundaries are slightly different from the boundaries we used to have. So yes, I'm talking about we have created new boundaries which are very different than the previous boundaries we had, previous us versus then we had. So we, on the personal level, we have created boundaries between us and all those who are not us, but who are somehow, due to some reason, are more exposed to this pandemic situation. So we have created a boundary between the people for us who are forced to sit inside our house, and we have created a difference between us and those who are working in the field due to possibly the nature of job or something, and that have been reflected in our behaviors, collective behavior, sometime to differentiate and to show aggressive behavior, and sometimes showing throwing stones and all to our doctors, policemen, and all those people who have been working with corona patients. And this has not happened in India only. It is a global phenomena. It is not local. In every country, we are listening the news that people are on road and are against those who are trying to maintain the situation of lockdown. So in many states and many cities of US, people are on roads protesting against and are engaging in violent fight against the police personnel and lawmaking agencies. In Britain, people are doing the same thing, and in India, people have been doing the same thing. We have also divided ourselves from those who are more exposed to this situation. For example, the patients. We have started using stigmatized voices, and we have tried to make distance. So if we see or if we hear about a person being infected, we stigmatize the person and start using words like corona spreader. We forget at that time that that person who have been infected by the virus has not invented the virus. He is also a victim. He has acquired it from somewhere. So he is not the spreader, he is a victim. But in order to protect our well-being, in order to protect ourselves from this crisis situation, we stigmatize and you start using stigmatized language like corona spreaders, corona patients. We have created a distance. Initially, we created a distance. So this tendency has emerged as a global stigmatizing thought between the middle income group. Especially, I'm talking about Indian context. Initially, we tried to protect our well-being by creating a divide from higher income group and ourselves. And we started saying the corona has entered into the country by the upper socioeconomic group who are on holidays abroad and brought corona into the country. We created this divide. We forgot that all those who were abroad at that time were not on holidays. They were working, they were studying, they were on tour, they were earning for the country. But we conveniently made this divide, us versus them, saying that they were enjoying outside, they were enjoying abroad, and they brought corona inside. Then the focus shifted, and we found a group, a religious group who was engaged, though it was a wrong act to gather into masses, but it was not intentional. But we conveniently created this us versus them divide and started saying and started categorizing a particular religious group as corona spreader group. Then again, when the incidences of corona spread ended into that particular group, we then started this categorization with the lower income group and started saying all these low income people, especially mazdoors, daily earners, daily wagers, migrant people who are in different states of India, they are coming back to their home. Rather than sympathizing with them, rather than understanding their problem, the so-called middle income group India started stigmatizing them and started saying that these migrants are spreading corona into their villages and into their native states. So these kinds of experiences we have seen at personal level.
Okay, Dr. Tushar, 1 minute more.
Yes, you want to say something, Padmaraj?
Yeah, now 1 more minute to go from your time. Okay.
Yeah, and then we also witness this on more global level, national level. When this spread went to Western countries to protect their identity, to protect their well-being, they started stigmatizing a section of the world. So first, President Trump called it a Wuhan virus. He stigmatized a city. When there was no dissent, no opposition, the Western media started enhancing it and they called it a Chinese virus. And then again, when there was no protest, they conveniently started saying it Asian virus. So this division is also visible on global level. We are seeing attempts to degrade the status of WHO, attempts to divide the world into or more parts. So all these things are happening due to and in the backdrop of corona thing. It is not new. This is a psychological phenomena of this divide, but this time this divide is happening at the time of global crisis when we should be together.
Okay.
Now how to help?
So time.
Just 1 minute, I will conclude. In ancient Hindu text Mahabharata, there is an incident when Yaksh asked Yudhishthir, what is the greatest wonder of the world? And Yudhishthir said, the greatest wonder of the world is we all see people dying and believe that we will not die. This statement is true now also. When we do this divide, we forget that this disease does not differentiate on the basis of caste, class, nation, origin. Once we are under this trap, we will be equally affected. So it is the time when we people should start taking things in right direction. Already my fellow colleagues have said connectedness is the key. Superordinate goal, we all psychology students have studied in bachelors. We have to create a superordinate goal, and it is a time of superordinate crisis when we all have to come together to work together to bring this divide. So the key is connectedness, taking it as a superordinate crisis, taking it as a challenge to the humanity, and working together. Unfortunately, psychologists have not picked it up. I must say that. When our Prime Minister started taking this initiative, and this initiative was taken around the globe also, lighting the lamp and drum beating, there were many explanations of some rage will come, some sound wave will come and destroy corona, but psychologists didn't spoke that it is an simple attempt to create a collective experience. It is simple effort to create a collective consciousness, and it is a simple effect to create connectedness among people, which will help us deal with the crises that have come to us, and it will give us strength to fight with this situation. So we, the psychologists, didn't spoke at all on these efforts, and that is possibly the reason these events could not have that impact which was intended. So with this small talk, I will end my lecture. I once again thank you all for organizing this wonderful thing, and I am listening from the beginning. Special mention to you, Padmraj, for well coordinated efforts and keeping track on time. Sorry, I eaten 1 or 2 minutes more, but I think I'll depart. Thank you all.
Oh, okay, thank you, Dr. Tushar, for your wonderful sharing. Yes, now world is dividing, and we have the same type of problem last 3 days ago. One patient is died, and until 3 days he stay in a home. No family member were going there. It's South Asian some type of problem like that. Yes, now our next speaker, it's Professor Dr. Samim ma'am from Sri Lanka, but unfortunately he is disconnecting many times over here. He messaged me if he rejoin again, because there is the very windy environment over there, Sri Lanka. I think he is not in waiting room. So I call the next speaker from Nepal, Usha Kiran Subba, Professor Dr. Usha Kiran Subba, who is the head of former head of Tirchandra Multiple Campus, Tribhuvan University, and president of Association of Psychologists in Nepal. She has completed DPhil in Depression and Quality of Life of Nepalese Women from Allahabad University, India in 2009. Professor Dr. Usha Kiran, ma'am, now your turn. Please proceed your turn.
Thank you, Padam Raj. Namaskar to all the esteemed egos. First of all, I'm thankful to God. We are alive, well and energetic to participate in this webinar to celebrate Psychology Day in the context of United Nations, the role of psychology in addressing concerns of global importance, on the theme of UN 75, the multilateralism, we want psychological contribution to building bridges among and within the nations. As we deal with the impact of COVID-19 on our life and the implication for our loved ones and world at large, it is important to prioritize mental health as well as physical well-being. We work together in this unprecedented time of stress and help to cope with the changing world. In this regard, multilateralism is a necessary and useful process of organizing relations between groups of 3 or more countries participate in a particular issue or try to solve a problem. The COVID-19 pandemic hits fast and its effects spare no one. The story is the same for all of us, but we fully realize that we are yet to see the global effects in countries that are much vulnerable. We know that no one is safe until everyone everywhere is safe. The virus has revealed vulnerabilities inside countries and in the international system. We are acting with determination to protect our citizens, strengthen public health, and avoid further spreading. The pandemic also constitutes a growing threat to international peace and security. It shows the necessity of multilateralism. It is the only way to overcome COVID-19. Multilateralism about alliances and cooperation in the pursuit of common goal. Multilateralism and goodwill, international engagement is the only way to drive forwards a successful response to the COVID-19 instead of the politics of unilateralism. To overcome this virus is not about finding a scapegoat or pursuing the retributions, but instead demanding a particular solutions and setting out common goals for the great good. However, the relatively interdependent and peaceful world multilateralism helps us to create now require more complex solutions to environmental, health, and economic challenges. The every essence of multilateralism, at least the rationale behind its existence, is to forge and preserve peace and stability at the global level through the pursuit of collective security. Second, we must tackle the devastating social and economic dimensions of this crisis with a focus on the most affected women, older persons, youth, low wages workers, small and medium enterprises, the informal sectors, and vulnerable groups, especially those in humanitarian and conflict settings. We must see countries not only united to beat the virus, but also tackle its profound consequences. These are all threats to international peace and security: coronavirus, conflict, displacement, detention, disease, domestic violence, famine, rampant unemployment, increasing the rates of homelessness and poverty. All of these make our world less secure and more vulnerable to the xenophobia, hate, and violence. To build a world of the peace and security, we need equity, justice, and solidarity. We need international cooperation and multilateral actions. Hence, I propose to all the speakers and the participants from Nepal, Bangladesh, India, and Sri Lanka, we care enough to work together multiplinary to beat the COVID pandemic, because psychologists are put a great efforts to work out this pandemic situation from their institutions, hospitals, organizations, and associations, individually or in a group, to alleviate the human problems, working to control the coronavirus to spread, but all are in vain. On the contrary, it is increasing in rates. In this devastating situation, but we can join our hands to work together to fight a common goal. I welcome your comments, suggestions, views on this topic, or we can form a task group to work out aggressively to anchor the goal. I hope we then can say, "Go Corona, go." Thank you and namaste.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and namaste, Professor Dr. Usha Kiran Subba, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation over there. Now we have another speaker, Dr. Zahid Hussain from Bangladesh, and he is the psychometrician and affiliated to the CBS Bangladesh, and also the military psychologist, Commander General in the Bangladesh Army. Please welcome this session, the Dr. Zahid Hussain from Bangladesh.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Audible, yes, sir.
Okay. I would like to share my screen also. Sir, I believe that you can see my screen. Sorry, can you see my screen, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
So-
it is visible.
So, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am Zahid Hussain, and on behalf of CIFAS Bangladesh, I would like to welcome you all in this webinar. So, amongst all speakers, I think that I am the only person who is not the academician. Actually, I am the practitioner psychologist. So, from my basic concept, I would like to discuss about what already it is projected on the screen. Is the psychological contribution in building the bridges among and within nation, and also I have included from the perspective of multilateralism, as because you know that I have actually concerned Psychology Day at the United Nations. So with that, I'd actually like to discuss from the multilateralism perspective. So I believe I am audible. So multilateralism I would like to cover in two phases. So definitely in the first phase, the within nation, and here I would like to cover what is the state of this multilateralism in the perspective of Bangladesh or in the context of Bangladesh. And in the second phase, I would try to highlight few of the things that how it should be improved amongst the nations. So first of all, if we want to talk about the multilateralism, so from my point of view, actually it could be two types. One could be the synergy and other could be the disharmony. So if the multilateralism works good, that means if it has more than the cumulative effects, then we may call it synergy. So that could be expressed through the progress and of course the positive mental health. But if because of the multilateralism between the different groups or the nations, if there is some disharmony, then definitely it will be also affected by the many folds. So this is how actually I would like to discuss about the synergy and the disharmony. Now, if we consider that multilateralism, so what are the factors that influences it? That means why sometimes it becomes the synergy and sometimes it becomes the disharmony. So from my point of view, there are some factors that influences. Those are, first of all, I think that is the trust. So if different between the different groups, the trust is there, then it will create the synergy. If there is no trust or the mistrust, then that will lead to the disharmony. And of course, the values actually plays a vital role. Now, if you think nowadays what is going on, so values are actually installed from very early ages during the childhood, and the first teacher of these values, I think, is the mother. So nowadays, all the parents are running towards the scores, that is the marks, that is the educations. So the students are from the very childhood, the people becomes actually very materialistic. So initial days, they are running after the marks, and in the later stages, they are running for the monies and the own benefits. So I think the values is also very important factor of the multilateralism to become synergy or the disharmony. The third comes the language, the factor. If we have a multiple languages, then definitely some interactions and harmony in the interaction is actually affected. And the culture, it is also one of the components of the multilateralism. So the more the culture is similar, it is more synergy. If the culture is different, then there is a possibility of the disharmony. And definitely there comes the religions, the beliefs, and moreover, I think the overall the cognitive process of the mass people, how they are thinking. That means actually these are developed the very early stages of the life. Now, about some synergy, I would like to mention about the Bangladesh. I have told that this presentation, I would like to highlight what is the context or what is the state of in the perspective of the Bangladesh. So because I work with psychometric, so I always consider this is a factor and which definitely has some indicators. So from my point of view, in the Bangladesh, if you consider the Bangladesh, so we are following almost same culture, and even we have the same language, and even our habits, our cuisines are same, and we have different religions, but we all celebrate all the religions together. So far, these are the state of synergy in Bangladesh. Now, again, I am going to the indicators. So through a pictorial outlines. So if we see the Bangladesh about the synergy, multilateralism, so you can see that in 1952, we fought for our language, and we are the only nation who actually sacrificed our life for the language. and that's why already it is celebrated as the UN National Language Day. And also we fought in 1971, and there all the people from all castes, all groups, we fought together to bring our victory. And even nowadays, if you see the Rohingyas issues, so almost 1 billion people we have given shelters. So here we have seen that all the Bangladeshi peoples are having the sympathy to them, and they have collected the rations and all other things and continuously giving the supports. So I think these are the indicators that we have of the positive synergy, or the synergy of multilateralism. And definitely it has some also impact on our economy also. If you see our economy, so it is also developing. So far, from my point of view, in the Bangladesh, we are having some synergies. So this is the national point of view. But that doesn't mean that we do not have any scope for further development. And this is not only to develop, but it should be also nurtured and maintained. So from my point of view, the scopes of multilateralism, there are some two factors that could be nurture and could be maintenance. So for the nurture, I think we need a strong R&D cell, the research and development cell, and specifically from the perspective of social psychology. So they should always monitor, and should be the national institutions, it should be all through monitor what are the values, ethics, and how the cognitive process and the other things are being developed within the young generations and the people, so that they can give some feedback to the government about their policy making. And also, I think that the updated curriculum for psychologists itself is also very required. So not only we should think about the others, but we should think ourselves also. Are we equipped? That means the way the world is being changed so fast. So the values and the other things are changing so fast. The generations gap has become very, that means the duration of the generation is becoming very less. So very quickly the generations are actually changing. So in 2030, we are going to say a new world. So are we ready, psychologists, to meet that challenges of the future in the 2030? So I think we should also think about that, and we should have some contribution to develop our curriculum in this regard also. And about the maintenance, I think that we should install the values starting from the families. So there's some massive awareness program, or the psychologists can work with the families, that means especially for the parents, and definitely with the students. And there the school psychologists have a great role. And of course, the teachers, after the parents, the teachers come the second. So that in the teachers training institutions, the psychological principles, especially regarding the values and the multiplicacy and the especially the synergies effect, how that can be trained. So they should be also prepared in this regard. And also for the maintenance, I believe that the awareness program with the collaboration of the government, and definitely we are the psychologists, we are having the better knowledge about the human psychology. So we should have some collaboration with the government, so that while setting different policies, we can assist them. Now I would like to talk something about amongst the nations. So far I've talked within the nation, now it's among the nation. So what are the actually the synergy effect for the multilateralism, or how we can convert the multilateralism to the synergy? So first thing, I believe that we should consider about the electronic yellow journalism, because nowadays our overall attitudes are highly influenced by this electronic journalism. So without having in-depth research, there are some newses we always see. So nowadays it's very easy to get all the newses. If you open the Facebook, you will get all the news, and without research, in-depth research, many newses are coming. So if any newses are coming, so it may create some disharmony within the nations, between the people of the nations. And we should also control over our social media. So the psychologists also should have some studies nowadays. They should bring with some solutions or some researches also, that how the social media nowadays are actually changing the attitudes of the young generation. So I believe some control is required in this regard. And definitely the mutual exchanges of knowledge, expertise, and the interaction. If it is enhanced, then more interaction will be there, and the more the relation will be built up, and we can use the multilingualism to the synergic effect. And we also should have some principles to for the mutual respect to the others and the development. So it is not like that being a nation, we can only develop by ourselves, ignoring our neighbors. So while developing, we should have some mutual respect, and we should have the mutual development program. And these types of attitudes should be developed very early of the childhood. So these are the things from my point of view. So that's all. I believe that I have covered within time. Thank you very much.
Padam sir. Hello.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Commander
Thank
Jahid.
you so much, Dr. Jahid, for your wonderful presentation and a nice presentation within nation and multilateralism within the globe. So now we have a lots of hand raised over there, and there are lots of questions in the chat box, and Dr. Narendra and Kamal sir, please help me with those sort outing those type of questions who may present there. First, I think raise hand by the one Gopilal Sreshto. Sir, Gopilal sir. Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you, Padam sir. I know all the delegates present here. Then I have one question to that. Then during this COVID-19, most of the peoples they are also getting disease and suffering from several problems. And in case of South Asian country, most of the people, they are suffering from the starvation, famine and starvation, rather than what is the disease. Then in this situation, then what is the role of the psychologist? What is the role of the intellectuals to cope for this kind of the problems? Padam sir.
Okay. Your question to the speakers or everybody?
To the speaker, sir. Relevant to the speaker, please.
Okay.
So
Okay,
can you choose the speaker name?
Yeah.
Because there are 8-9 speakers.
Especially relevant to the speakers, especially from India, sir, who is speaking now. I think it is relevant to you.
Just now, the Jahid Hussain from Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And earlier, Tushar.
Yeah, Tushar, sir. Tushar.
Okay, yes, Tushar, Dr. Tushar, you are note down this thing. We collect more questions over there, then we go to the address.
Okay, Padam sir.
Yes, okay. Yes.
One friend from maybe from
yes.
Myanmar.
Please.
T2.
Yes, Anjali Shah. Yes. Ma'am Anjali Shah, you raise the hand. Please mention your question and mention also your speaker who want to ask. Anjali Shah. Yes, I saw one of the teacher, activist, farmer, and author Indraj Bhattarai sir. You have queries among these speakers. Indraj Bhattarai sir is author and also the student, teacher, activist, farmer one.
Thank you, Padam sir. Thank you so much. This is very interesting program I have attended, and thank you for the opportunity. I just want to share here that this pandemic has caused serious psychosocial problems among the people. Even I can talk about Nepal. And as I have known, more than 500 Nepali citizens had committed suicide within this lockdown period. So my just input with this forum is that why don't we make a forum of psychologists so that we can implement the psychosocial counseling programs, especially to the women and children who are more vulnerable in this situation. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Indra sir. And any, please, I can see the raise the hand. Okay, Nisa Neopani. Yes. Nisa Neopani, ma'am, you raise the hand. So I saw.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. I want to ask to Dr. Zaid from Bangladesh, I think. My question is that nowadays, because of the coronavirus and so much people are doing suicide and so much molestation in society because inside the home, and what is the responsibilities of as a social psychologist in our society and inside home as a professional people?
Okay, Jai, you put
Thank you.
this question. And also one more hand, Tina Manandar, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question.
Tina, one more question, I think, Tina Manandar.
Okay.
Hello, this is Tina from Nepal. So I have questions for Sir Shah Alam. I think that was his name. I can see that in his Zoom username, so that is what I'm naming him as. So one is for relates. So it's for Shah Alam sir and Zahid Hussain sir, and so I think it was Shah Alam sir who mentioned about supporting the vulnerable groups and people who become the victims of domestic violence and about women empowerment. So we've all shown himself. Why is it like it's always about why is it that we always have concerns on people who are actually the victims rather than people who are actually the perpetrators? So if we were to if we as psychologists were to play a role in working with the perpetrators who actually victimize people, what would be our role?
Okay.
I hope I made myself clear. Thank you.
Okay, let's start from Dr. Zahid Hussain. Okay.
Yes, so I was asked about what a psychologist can do to for the people who are having some suicidal tendency. So first of all, I must mention that I am actually not the clinical psychologist. So my expertise in something else. I would like to, I'll try to answer your question from my general perspective. So first of all, if you think about the persons who are now undergoing in this COVID-19 sessions, so they are not getting enough chances now to mix up with the people. So the first thing is they are missing is actually to ventilate their emotions. So that is the first problem. So in the normal situations, so when they can interact with the other people, so that time they can ventilate. But now they cannot ventilate. So this is the one problem. And second is that, so all through when they're opening either the television or maybe Facebook, anything, so they are getting all the frightened news. So again, the people, those are having predisposing factors, so those people are most vulnerable. So especially from my point of view, I think the people who are having tendency of the depression, so you should target those people, whether their depression level has been more increased or not, and how they are thinking about this situation. So if you can monitor all those things, so I believe that you can have some control over their suicidal tendency. Did I make myself clear, or are you satisfied?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joy Hussein. And now, Dr. Tushar, you want to say something? Dr. Tushar, are you hearing?
Padma.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see any question addressed to me. Was there any?
I think the first question, Gopilal Shrestha sir mentioned your name, so.
Yeah, but can you repeat the question again? Probably I missed it or misattributed it to someone else.
Okay.
Gopilal sir? Gopilal sir?
Can you repeat
Yes,
your question?
yes, sir. Please. Thank you again, sir. I had asked you that then, especially in South Asia,
Yeah.
and most of the people live below the line of the poverty, and also our per capita income GDP is too low.
Yeah.
And most of the people are suffering from COVID. But I would like to say that then they are suffering starvation rather than the COVID. Those people they are losing job, and those who are below the line of poverty, those who have the financially poor, those who are marginalized, then how can we assist them being as a psychologist or mental health professional, sir?
Yeah. Thank you, Gopilal, for bringing in this question. Basically, we as a psychologist have a greater role in this. Probably the value system which is developing now in global era has some error. And that is rightly said that this pandemic disease is not only a crisis, but it is an opportunity to reboot our ancient Indian or also ancient Asian values. We were the people of remember that the collective is the key. Why people are coming, if I take example of India, why people are coming from multi metro cities to their homes, to their villages, and they are coming in masses, thousands and lakhs of people are coming to their villages. The reason is only one. They know that in their village they will not die of starvation. The community support is still there in the village. They will not die of hunger in their village because there is a sense of collective still remain, and the entire village will help and support a family. At least they will get food for them. They will get easy credit from their shopkeepers in their home, but that is not available in metros. So somehow these incidences are letting us know that the collective conscious which we are sacrificing in the name of globalization and westernization and modernization need to be rebooted too. We need to think in collective terms. I was reading an article in today's newspaper here in India that in a village people have made it sure that even if one person of the village is earning, the kitchen will work for the entire village. So even if a person is getting some job, the in Hindi it was said, "Ek bhi that nobody in their village will die of hunger. This feeling should be there, and we the psychologists have greater role in coming up with writings, with advocacy, with policy papers to help reform the education system, the value education system, and the government to pressurize the government to work on local bodies rather than creating jobs in multinational cities. Here I will again quote, and it is relevant in this situation. The quote I will quote Gandhiji and Schumacher, who advocated for small is beautiful. You would have read this sentence that was Schumacher's book, Small is Beautiful. He advocated based on Gandhian perspective that we should create jobs in villages. One bigger industry is of no use in such times of crisis rather than multiple small industries. Remember what we are saying today. Industry should work with 25% population, 50% population, 50% workforce. Imagine if we would have had 1,000 small scale industries, they would have worked on their full scale because they were small. 6-10 people would have been working, and it would have been easy to maintain physical distancing. So this small is beautiful concept need to be re-looked into and need to be bring in again. We the psychologists need to take up the role of an united entity, especially in Southeast Asia. The one audience rightly said, we need to work upon and make a collective association of psychology who is more responsible and more prompt in responding to such situation. In Southeast Asia, I don't see any psychology body having the strength to talk to and suggest to the government in any country, not also in India. So that strength needed to be brought in. We are learning a lot from West, but we are not learning this, that psychologist in British Psychological Society has the power to instruct to the government and suggest to the government. APA has the power to suggest to the government, and it suggests many things. But in South Asian countries, we don't have such forum which instruct the government, which suggest the government what is good, what is bad, and what your policy should be. So we need to bring in all these issues if we want to really work on grassroots level. I hope I could answer your query.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you so much, Dr. Tushar. And thank you so much, Gopilal sir, for your queries. And now I would like to request our chief guest to deliver her remarks. Our chief guest, Aradhana Shukla, Professor Dr. Aradhana Shukla ma'am, former professor and head Department of Psychology in Kumaon University. And she is now Senior Fellow of IACC SSR Department of Psychology, SSC Campus, Almora. She is serving her since last 35 years. And before joining here, she serves as a research associate in UGC, and she guided more than 52 PhD students, conducted major research project, NSERT, UGC, ICSSR, and many more than 16 books she write, and many psychological tests she developed. So she edited many Psyche of Asian Society and many journals, and all of us, we know about her. She is renowned psychologist from India, and today our chief guest. I would like to request her to deliver this UN 13th UN Psychology Day and 4th UN Psychology Day in Nepal's platform. Madam, it's your turn.
Hello, Namaskar, good evening. Am I audible to all?
Audible,
Am I
ma'am.
audible?
Audible, ma'am.
I am audible?
Audible, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. So, honorable speakers, dear coordinating team and participants, it is my honor and pleasure to be with you and share my views on the ways following which we can increase the magnitude of strength in human being and cultivate new resources within and among the nation, which is the demand of the time. And it is our endeavor that we should make all nations at one platform in with an unbeaten perspective. To cultivate strength and promote mental health is a need of the hour. It is a common saying that people meet together and strengthen the others in pain, while in the state of pleasure, they relish alone. It is a crucial time where COVID-19 has dominated the world. There's a need to join the hand, maintaining social distance, and strengthen the others. Perhaps it was a think of the coordinators that they organized this webinar on psychological contribution to building bridges among and within nations. I hope that this webinar will help the people to strengthen each other in particular and the society in general. Mental strength is an attribute that allows an individual to be deserved and preserved, maintained, and nourished properly, even in the days of circumstances. Although it is a time of hardiness, and people should walk with a feeling of confidence and self-care, but there is a need of training also and self-care. And it is the most important aspect of life during the tough time of COVID. Mental strength will help us to manage our thoughts, regulations, emotions, and behavior productively. It means that we will be able to focus our efforts and energy in the things that matter the most. Dealing with the notion of strength, we can also think about its development. Many scholars have defined uh, strength and they have clubbed in such a way that it is a capacity for feeling, thinking, and behaving in a way that allows optimal functions to the in the pursuit of valued outcomes. It is a combination of talents, uh, naturally recurring pattern of thoughts, feelings, and behavior, knowledge, facts, and lesson learned, and skills means the step of an activity. It is that psychological ingredients, process, or mechanism that define internally valued virtues. The mental strength can also be defined as the natural genetic process which makes a distinction between good and bad and behave in such a way. So far as a matter of indicators of human strength is concerned, it is true. It is true that strength energizes a person, enables him to make distinction between good and bad, acceptable and unacceptable, desirable and undesirable, and favorable and unfavorable as well. However, we can judge a person with a high mental strength. We judge a person whether he or she is strength in his or her mental strength level is high or low, and we can judge him according to the values which he have on gratitude, forgiveness, optimism, empathy, spirituality, good personality, and there are so many things that decide the level or magnitude of human strength in a person concerned. It is a person who like good company, do something good for the society, nurtures the society, and thinks always the betterment for the society. If a person does all these things, it means that his or her strength is high, the person is highly suitable for the society, and the person can do a lot for the betterment of the society. Now, how we can get mental strength? It is the very crucial time of COVID-19 which has dominated over the world. In these days, it is our thing. We should think on the matter that how we can strengthen ourselves and feed such a thing in the others, maintaining social distance, that would be make us in how we can get the strength. At first, satisfaction. What is satisfaction? Is aware about his or her capacities and limitations. He knows, or the person knows, that I can or I cannot. Between the hairline of I can, I cannot. When a person understands this, it means the person is satisfied, and obviously his mental strength is very high. Now, self-actualization. Assessing, knowing, feeling the person concerned. Who am I? What I am? What are the negatives and positives in us? When a person considers and behaves accordingly and nurtures the good one, develops the good one, and try to make some right which is not in him. When a person actualizes himself in such a important thing is willpower, firm determination, confirm willpower, ability to do things in constructual way, and internal control over the person oneself. If the person has all these things, it is very sure that the person will be higher in self-strength and will serve as a tool for the promotion of society, which is the very need of the hour. Spiritual exercise, importance of yoga, importance of meditation, and all such things that are directly related to our physical fitness and mental satisfaction as well. They are very necessary, following which a person can get high level of self strength in oneself. On the basis of this discussion, we can find that strength is a process that carries a person